The world had never felt so chaotic, so turbulent. The air seemed thick with an unseen weight, and everywhere I went, I felt like I was standing on the edge of something monumental. It was February 2025, and strange, unsettling things were happening all around us. From the unpredictable actions of political leaders to the unexplained mysteries unfolding in the skies. Every day brought new signs that felt like the universe was preparing for something far beyond our comprehension. It started subtly at first. I was just going about my day like most people, caught up in the routine of life. But the weight in the air grew heavier with each passing moment. There were whispers among people about things they couldn't quite explain. Stories of odd occurrences, strange dreams, unsettling visions. But it wasn't just the news or the increasing natural disasters that had people talking. It was the sense that something bigger, something far more significant, was unfolding behind the scenes. I remember watching the news one evening, my heart racing as I heard the latest reports. Planes had been mysteriously disappearing, one after another. At first, it seemed like an isolated incident. But soon, more reports came in, and it became clear that something was wrong. The aviation authorities were baffled, but no one could provide answers. It was a terrifying thought, planes vanishing from the skies without any trace, like something was reaching out and pulling them into an abyss. And then, as if to heighten the sense of unease, the sun seemed to go mad. Solar storms erupted from its surface, shooting towards Earth like fiery arrows from a cosmic bow. Scientists scrambled to explain it, but the storms were unlike anything they had seen before. The electromagnetic field of the Earth shifted, sending waves of energy crashing through the atmosphere. It felt like the world was under attack from forces we could barely understand. But the most shocking part of all was the political upheaval. In the United States, former President Donald Trump was back in the Oval Office, making decisions that seemed to carry prophetic weight. It was as if everything he said, every action he took, was fulfilling prophecies from an ancient book. His statements about Gaza, his bold actions on the world stage, they all seemed to be written in the stars long before they happened. And for many, this was terrifying. Was it all part of a larger plan? Was this the beginning of the end? Despite the chaos, life went on. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something far worse was coming. The signs were there, but it felt like no one was paying attention. People were still caught up in their daily lives, distracted, oblivious to the impending storm. It was as if the world was asleep, even though it was on the brink of awakening. Then one day it happened. I was driving home, my mind racing with thoughts of all that had been happening. The world felt like it was on the verge of something catastrophic, but I didn't know what. And then, in an instant, everything changed. I remember the moment so clearly. 1 second, I was cruising along the highway, the world outside calm and still, and the next, everything went black. The car swerved violently, and I felt an immense pressure crushing down on me. My body seemed to go weightless, as if I was floating outside of myself. The world around me blurred, and I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, thundering like a drum. It was as if time itself had stopped. I couldn't see anything, couldn't feel anything. I was suspended in this endless void, a place where reality seemed to bend and twist. I could hear voices, faint at first, then growing louder, but they weren't human voices. They were distant, ethereal, like whispers from another world. I tried to move, to call out, but I couldn't. My body felt like it was made of lead, too heavy to lift. And then, in the silence, a voice broke through. It was deep, powerful, and filled with an overwhelming presence. It was as if the voice was coming from the very fabric of the universe itself. "My child, you have been called," the voice said, reverberating in my soul. "The time is now. The shaking is coming. You must be ready." I tried to comprehend what the voice was saying, but everything felt so surreal. I felt like I was floating in the darkness, drifting further from my earthly body. And then, in a flash, I saw it, a vision. It was as if the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world had been torn open. I saw a city. It was a place of great power and influence, filled with towering buildings and bustling streets. But something was wrong. Chaos had erupted. People were running in all directions, their faces contorted in fear. I could hear the screams, the cries for help, but it was as if they were coming from a distant place, an echo of something that had already happened. I watched as the sky above the city split open. A massive object descended from the heavens, something unlike anything I had ever seen. It wasn't a plane, nor a drone, nor anything that belonged to this world. It was something otherworldly, something that filled the people below with terror. They looked up in awe and dread, their gazes locked on the object as it moved closer. And then, I heard the voice again. The time of awakening is upon you. The truth will be revealed, and those who have been blind will now see. The vision shifted. I saw another scene, this one even more profound. There was a great battle taking place, not on earth, but in the heavens themselves. The forces of light and darkness were clashing in a war that shook the very foundations of the universe. And in the midst of it all, I saw the figure of a man, a leader, standing strong, unwavering. It was Donald Trump, but not the man I had seen on the news. This was a different version, one that carried the weight of prophecy on his shoulders. His actions, his decisions, had set the course of history in motion. And as he stood at the center of this cosmic struggle, I realized the truth. Everything that was happening in the world, all the chaos, the signs, the shaking, it was all part of a greater plan. A plan that had been set in motion long before we were born. I felt my body stirring, as if I was being pulled back into it. I was no longer floating in the void, but lying on the ground, gasping for air. The weight was lifted, and I opened my eyes to find myself back in the world. But it wasn't the same. Everything felt different. The air was charged with energy, as if the very atmosphere had changed. I sat up, confused and disoriented. My heart was racing, and I could feel the presence of something powerful surrounding me. I didn't know what had happened, but I knew that I had just witnessed something that would forever alter the course of my life. It was as if I had been given a glimpse into the future, a future that was coming faster than any of us could comprehend. The shaking was not just a metaphor, it was real, and it was coming for all of us. The vision stayed with me, haunting me long after I had returned to my normal life. I couldn't shake the feeling that the time for preparation was now. The world had been warned, but so many were still asleep, distracted by the everyday chaos of life. The truth was out there, waiting to be revealed, but only those who were willing to listen would see it. I spent the following days in a state of constant prayer, seeking the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I knew that something was coming, something that would test every person on this planet. It was the great shaking, the moment when the truth would be revealed, and every soul would be forced to face the reality of what had been set in motion. I heard the voice again, not in a vision, but in my spirit. Prepare yourself. The time is now. The shaking is coming. Only those who walk with me will stand firm. And so I prepared. I prayed. I sought the truth, because I knew, deep in my soul, that the great shaking was not just a warning, it was a call to action, and it was up to each of us to answer it.